Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm going to share something really personal with me. I became a cash millionaire at 27 years old working with software. But here's the thing, if I had to start over today and make my first $1 million in the next 12 months using AI, I know exactly what I'd do. Over the past year, I've been working with several AI companies, and I've seen 3 of them hit $1 million in revenue in less than 12 months. So, if you've been thinking about building an AI company, or you already have one and want to scale past that $1 million mark, this episode is your blueprint. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If at any point during this episode you think to yourself, I can't do this, then maybe building an AI business isn't for you. But if you're one of the select few willing to do the work, keep listening. This is for you. Let me tell you the fastest way to go broke with AI. You spend the next 6 months building a tool, and then you find out nobody wants it. I've seen this happen over and over again. You've got to flip the script. You need to sell it first, then build it. I call this pre-selling. Here's how it works. First, find 10 potential customers and ask them for advice. I learned a long time ago that if you talk to a potential customer and ask them for money right away, they'll just give you advice on why you're not ready. But if you ask for advice first, they give you feedback, and then they end up selling themselves into buying from you. So here's the question you want to ask them. What has been hard about your business that, if you could automate it with AI, you would love to get set up? Just ask them that question. And when they give you the answer, you create the offer around it. Now, people always ask me, how much should I charge? Here's my rule. Whatever you would charge for the year, give them a 50% discount. The reason you're giving the discount is because you're going to ask them for a case study. What they're giving you in return is permission to use their name when you talk to other customers. And finally, you have to decrease the time to value for your customer, meaning you need to build a plan that goes from they gave you money to they got something of value as fast as possible. That's pre-selling, and it's easier than you think. But now that you understand you have to pre-sell, how do you find the people to sell to? This brings us to step 2. Pick a boring market. I have a rule. I don't like to sell to hot, exciting, flash-in-the-pan industries, things like marketing agencies, crypto, e-commerce, or course selling. And I'm not saying they're an absolute no. The problem is that when you get into these trends and fads, the fad could disappear, and you've built a whole business around something that won't be there in 3 or 4 years. We have to pick a market that's easy to get into, and that will value innovation. It's like Jeff Bezos said, I don't care about what's new, I care about what's true. What are customers going to care about in 10 years, 20 years that's not going to change? Because if you can find these boring markets that don't have a lot of competition, those are the ones that typically have high margins and they're ripe for disruption and innovation. So how do you pick a boring market? Well, first, ask AI. You can type, show me 20 boring industries with high average deal sizes where operations are still manual. Why? Because AI will help you automate those manual processes. And the high deal size means they're going to pay well, not too much, not too low, because people who have money are great to sell to. Once you've got the boring market, how do you actually know what to sell? Within that market, you've got to find a pain that they actually have. For example, let's say you're targeting electricians. Maybe their pain is that they have missed calls. They're always getting calls after hours, and they're losing jobs because of it. See how that could be painful for someone who's trying not to be tied to their work 24/7? The third thing is figuring out the benefits that are needed. If the person has these problems, what are the key things you're going to solve for them? So, for example, if they're not available to take calls, you can use an AI software to answer, qualify, and schedule calls while they're on a job, and you get paid by setting that up for them. The cool part is, in this world we live in, you can make money using AI tools that other people built, but you're the person in the middle who sets it up for these business owners. If I had to make $1 million with AI this year, I wouldn't start with an idea. I would start with the boring market. Now that you know the market you want to be in, next we have to lock in the math that keeps you rich, not just busy. Step number 3, pick your high margin model. Now, margin might sound like a weird word, but it's very simple. If I sell a product for $5 and it costs me $1 to make, my margin is $4. The challenge is, most people focus on revenue, and it's a vanity metric. How much money did you make last year? Oh, I made $100,000. Well, if it cost you $1 million to make that $100,000, it's not a business you want to be in. Unfortunately, most people don't understand how to build a business in a way that can generate a lot of profit. And why AI is so powerful for this is that it can take your delivery costs, where in the past, you'd have to pay somebody to do the work, and bring it down to almost zero because I can automate it. You want your AI business to feel like this: high price, tiny cost. Charge a lot for what you do. Very low cost to deliver. Here are the highest margin AI business models for 2026. AI services, around 70% margin. AI consulting, around 80% margin. AI digital products, around 90% margin. AI software, around 95% margin. This is where I spend most of my time. If I had to get rich with AI this year, here's what I would do. First, I'd start with an AI service or consulting. That way, it gets me in the conversation with customers. I learn what to automate with AI, and then I'd productize it into a lightweight software that takes the workflow I've documented and systematized and packages it into software that other people can buy without me even talking to them. That's how we get to 95% margin. Now we've got a boring market figured out and a high margin model so you can make some profit. Next, you need to find the right person to sell it to. Step number 4, create a high cash flow offer. Most people sell AI, but the truth is, nobody wants AI. A business wants customers. A business wants productivity. A business wants to reduce costs. It doesn't care if that's AI or 1,000 people, as long as what they're paying and what they're getting delivers ROI. Just so we're clear, margin is the profit potential. Cash flow is how the money flows through the business. For example, if I sell you a $1,000 solution, but then I have to put out $500 of my own money because by the time I send you an invoice and your finance team pays it, I've had to put money out before I get money back. That's where cash flow is important. Here are the 4 steps to avoid creating a cash flow crunch in your business before you even get started. 1. Sell one specific benefit. You can't try to sell everything they want. For example, if I'm selling to electricians, I'm saying I can get them 10 more customers per week without answering a single phone call. See how that's one specific result? 2. Package your pricing so you get paid as much as possible up front before you incur any costs. For example, maybe your service is $1,000 for 1 month, but you might give them a discount if they go 6 months up front at $4,000. So that first transaction is now 4 times more than the initial monthly price, but you've committed for a longer term. This reduces churn and increases cash up front. 3. Implement scarcity. We have to give people a reason to buy now, because if we don't, they'll just put it on their to-do list and think about it later. I like to say we're opening up 10 founding spots. After that, the price goes up. I only have 10 spots. I don't have all the time in the world. It's just me right now, and I only have so much capacity. 4. Add a bonus that kills objections. For example, maybe they say, "Hey, I want to do this, but I'm worried my team doesn't have time to implement it." You say, "Cool, because you're one of our first 10 customers, we're going to come in and train your staff." Normally, people invest $5,000 to $10,000 for that, but because you enrolled at the 6-month level, we're doing it for free. See how it's a bonus that deals with their objection? Do that every time, and you will get more deals. If you want to get rich with AI or business in general, you can't sell your hours. When you sell the result, you're motivated to become more effective at getting the result. And anytime you can improve with automation or AI or training, the improvement you keep. So you have an offer. Now you need to build your product. Step number 5, build your AI MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product. Most people hear product and think, "Oh, now I have to hire a bunch of engineers and developers." And guess what? You don't. There are a bunch of tools you can use to build the product. The idea is for it not to be perfect or beautiful, but for it to just work. I once talked to a guy at an event. He showed me his product. Fancy, beautiful, mobile, all the bells and whistles. I asked, "How did you build it?" He said, "I hired an agency. It cost me $100,000. I said, "Cool. Is anybody using it? Any customers yet?" "No, not yet." He spent all his time on functionality to make it look good, but never asked, does it actually deliver value for the customer? So here's how to build an MVP that actually gets results, not just looks good. You have 3 options. Option 1, use a no-code platform. Tools like Zapier, Make.com, or N8N let you take any manual process and automate it using AI. There are even tools like Go High Level that are CRM and funnel builders, or Lovable, where you can just type and it'll build apps. The key is to spend the least amount of time configuring your automation so it gets a result for a customer. Option 2, use an AI-assisted code platform, also called agentic programming. Tools like Replit, Cursor, or Google's platforms. It's not as simple as just prompting, but it's way more configurable. Every engineer I work with uses one of these platforms to write code. Option 3, hire an AI developer to build it for you. Most people get burned because they hire somebody, give them all their money, and then the product they get back is crappy, buggy, or doesn't work. The best way to test this is to give them a tiny test project first. Look on Upwork or call your local college. The key is, the MVP not only has to be simple, but it has to add value. If you don't show it to a customer and they go, "Oh, that's cool," then it doesn't work yet. Now you have an MVP. Your AI system works through automation or custom code. But the next problem is, if you don't automate the delivery after you sell a customer, you will drown in client work. Step number 6, automate delivery. The biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is not being prepared for success. 1 customer, no problem. 3 customers, I can handle it. 5 to 10, now I need project management software, a support email, maybe a support phone number. And if you don't get ahead of it to automate, that pressure can actually take you out of business. Here's my rule. Automation can turn your business into a machine, one that works while you sleep. Here's how you map your 4-step delivery system. Step 1, the purchase. The moment somebody checks out, you're probably going to use Stripe to accept payment. That kicks off a notification. Step 2, once you get that purchase, it triggers access into your software or your community. For example, my brother sells houses, and as soon as somebody puts a deposit down, it sends an email to add them to the project management software they'll use to pick all the options for their custom home. Step 3, onboarding. They bought something. Now what happens next? Ideally, you give them the software you just built, or you give them the ability to schedule time with you so you can review how the software needs to be set up. Step 4, support. Think about all the questions they're going to have for you. If you want to get rich this year, you can't be manually onboarding clients over time. You have to build a delivery system that feels like a vending machine, automated, and it works every time. Now you've done everything. You've got the business model, the product, the customers, you've automated your system. This is how we scale in 2026. But you have to be careful, because if you're too greedy, or worse, not greedy enough, it might be all for nothing. Which takes us to a hidden step that very few people consider. Step number 7, getting long-term greedy. A long time ago, one of my mentors said there are 2 types of greed. There's short-term greedy, and then there's long-term greedy. Short-term greedy might get you what you want today, but it stops you from getting what you want long-term. You can only get rich this year by wanting to build an empire for the next 50 years. If you don't fall in love with the idea of making money over a long period of time, then your desire to find the flash in the pan will actually be your kryptonite. That's why being long-term greedy is always broken down into the 3 S's of wealth. The first S is sell. This is the skill you need to develop. You get your first client, you start to get the machine turning. The second S is scale. Once you get dozens of customers, you have to scale it up. You tighten your systems, which stands for save yourself time, energy, money, and stress. You raise your prices because you're adding more value. You improve your offer. You work on your team. You get to a place where it almost feels easy. The third S is stack. Once you have one machine working really well, you can add other offers or products on top of your service, either through partnerships, building yourself, or even buying other AI companies to sell into your existing customer base. That is the goal. To build an empire, to create a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from. Most people who start businesses are very creative, and they think the bigger I get, the harder it's going to be. But the opposite actually happens at scale, because the bigger you get, the more resources you have to invest in really smart people who are going to come in and help you co-create that future with you and make your life easier. So here's the deal. Anybody listening to this can do what I just shared. It doesn't require any special schooling or a trust fund or anything. You just have to talk to customers. But what it will teach you along the way is to strive to become your 10.0 self, the best version of yourself. That is one way of being successful. But if you want to live a life of fulfillment, yes, the 10.0 self is what you're after. But the other side of that is to give yourself away. Share your strategies with the world, like I'm doing here. Now, I don't want you to just listen to this. I want you to do something with it. Find the customers, ask the questions, be curious. I need you to win this year. 2026 is your year. AI is still early, and the companies are out there waiting for your call. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people who are ready to build their AI empire in 2026. See you in the next one.